and welcome back to another episode of the Zero Empty Spaces podcast, episode 35, with Boca Raton Innovation Campus resident artist Julia Longwell, our newest artist here.
Hello.
At our second Boca Raton Innovation Campus location. We moved just down the hall, and we'll actually be having our grand opening reception next Thursday, January the 12th at 5 p.m., which we'll tell you about in a little bit. But if you didn't know about Zero Empty Spaces, myself, Evan Snow, and my business partner, Mr. Andrew Martineau, as arts advocates and community builders and creative entrepreneurs, came up with this initiative to activate vacant commercial real estate spaces to create affordable working artist studios so artists like her have space to create and collaborate affordably outside of their home and create win-win-win scenarios for the community, having the ability to discover artists in public spaces, and obviously supporting filling vacant commercial real estate spaces. So the point of our podcast is to connect you with the artists like her that make the program what it is, and it's a beautiful thing. So without much further ado, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself at a high level, who you are.
All right. Well, hello everybody. Like Evan said, my name is Julie Longwell, and I live here in South Florida. I'm originally from New York. I've been living here about 15 years. I'm married, and my husband and we have a painting and wallpaper company together. I like to refer to that as my day job. I'm super excited about the opportunity to be here in my own studio space. It's been a while since I've had my own studio space, so I'm very excited about this opportunity.
Awesome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
How did you initially get started in the arts?
I kind of like to joke that I was like born and raised in a museum, but it's sort of true. My parents are, my father was a theatrical. He also wrote books on acting, and my mother is a curator, and she, worked my whole life in a museum. So it's kind of a joke, but it's kind of true at the same time. So, living in New York, there was amazing opportunities to see and have experiences, all kinds of art experiences from around the world. So I was very lucky to grow up in New York. I went to high school. I went to a boarding school for high school, and there I, worked on my art, which I created a portfolio, which I ended up going to Pratt Institute. I have a bachelor's degree from Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York. So obviously there I continued my studies. I did mostly painting, drawing, and photography, but I also did ceramics and other arts as well. So that takes us to about 2003. I graduated from Pratt, and then the year after that I took the opportunity to travel in Central America, and it was through a project called Project Art Corps. It's kind of like Peace Corps for arts. I mean,
Whoa.
Pretty much. Well, it's not
That's
art.
an option?
It's not really hardcore. It exists, Art Corps. And you go and you work alongside like the NGOs, like of the local, whatever place you're in or whatever. So depending on the particular town I was in, was really working to teach people about, taking care of the environment around them, the forests and things like that, and not using them for farming. So I did a lot of murals with the children there, like with images of like, how to take care of the forest and things. And I'd work with the children to make the design, and then we would do it. And
Wow.
so it was a wonderful experience. I'm glad I did it when I was young and free as a bird. So, but basically from there, I returned to New York, and it was absolutely freezing, and I said, no way am I doing this anymore. So I headed south. So I am a snowbird who never went back. And that's that. So I've been here since about 2005, like I said. And
Wow.
Soon after that, I met my husband, and by 2013 we opened our own company. And so actually, before I met him in that, I was here, and I worked teaching as a teaching artist for the Center for Creative Education.
Nice.
Because when I worked in Central America with the children, I loved the experience, and so I knew I wanted to work with children. Like when I came back, and it's just a great opportunity to teach and do your own art and stuff. So I did that for a few years, and then once I got together with my husband, we started the company, and that's kind of been the majority of things like that. And then of course I had my own children, and the pandemic hit. So we literally all went into the house and like never came out again. So you know, it was just art studio, children's like study hall. It was just all happening in the same spot. So like I said, this having my own studio here is just it's such a blessing, and it's just an amazing opportunity just to keep going, because you know, I have a lot of energy here with
Amen.
with my paintings. So
I did not know art core was an option. You can
It is.
sign me up. I'll
yeah,
see you later,
well,
Andrew.
Google it. Yeah, Google it. They have many opportunities actually in different countries in Central America and Guatemala.
All right,
and
we're
that
going to
stuff.
take this show on the road.
Particularly went to El Salvador,
Oh, wow.
which is a country that many people don't get the chance to visit because
Yeah.
it's usually frowned upon. But I actually had a wonderful experience when I was there. So
Okay, art
But,
core it is.
yeah.
Wow, you might have just changed multiple people's
Oh, now
lives.
Evan's like, I'm leaving. I'm out.
I was waiting for this opportunity. If I could just unpack part of that.
Okay.
So you were from New York City?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
I grew up mostly on Eastern Long Island.
oh yeah? What,
Yeah.
what town?
In Sag Harbor, New York.
Okay, my
Yeah.
father's from New Hyde Park.
Oh, okay.
No, what,
Strong Island.
Yeah, that's right. What museums did your mother work with? If you're
Oh, she worked with the Parish Art Museum. It's
Okay.
in Southampton, New York. It's now located in Watermill. It's it actually had a rebuilding. An architects Herzog and Demiron designed the new building, and so just a few years ago they had the opportunity to be the chief curator in the brand new space and everything. But
that's great.
so yeah, they had she just retired just this past year. So
Good for her.
yes.
She should be very proud.
So yes, she's actually, well, you know, and it was a big year. My father passed away this past
Sorry to hear
year, and now she's here. But now she's down here in South Florida with us, so
Okay.
we're excited.
Amen. Well, that's a good
Yeah.
head start to an art career if your mother's you know,
Yeah.
curating places like that.
Right.
That's a pretty unique background. And,
Right.
and
I mean, yeah, yes, Pratt, like the whole thing. I mean, we pretty much that's what we did as a child was go to museums. So I've had a lot of opportunities to go to very many places and see things.
that's incredible. Well,
Yeah.
how so with that being the case, and now that
Yeah.
you had that experience growing up,
Yes.
and then you established the business with your husband, could you tell us how that led to your style of work and the mediums that you work in now?
Right. Well, so currently, like, I work in oil paint. I prefer oil paint as opposed to acrylics or I do like watercolors, but I like the oil paints. I like the kind of colors that you can create. Usually, when I come into the studio, I use like more than one palette, and I spend a while. I'll usually do like a light palette and a darker color palette, and I'll spend a long time kind of mixing a lot of different colors, like even before I start to paint. And I try to create different ones every time so that, you know, I'm not just working with like the same 6 rainbow colors that come out of the tubes, you know? So that's my first part of my process. And then the second part is really, I start totally abstract on all the canvases. And then, like, as they kind of, I don't have there's no end game, really. It's just kind of, as it evolves, I like the paint to be the main subject of everything. Although, I will use, like, my own photographs as references, whether they be family members or, like, still life. Like, these are still life, yes. So, like, this large one I'm currently working on, this is a photograph of mine, of my children there, and, like, the, you know, and Mount's tropical garden. So, the idea with this is that sort of it's like a landscape, but it's abstract. Like, it's mostly about the paint, you know. It's not meant to look like a photorealist landscape. So I think my main subject is the paint, but at the same time I will use my family members, landscapes, still life. I do a lot of still life.
That's great. Now that I see the photo, it makes a lot more sense.
So yeah, I kind of, you know, and I have to I work on them for a long period of time, like a few months at a time. So, and I kind of come in and I put them in different positions and sort of move them around and look at that. I kind of have to, like, develop this kind of relationship with them, and then one day I'll just see it and I'll be like, oh, that's where the apple still life is gonna go. That's the background that I want on it, like kind of like a background. And then when I'm actually going through painting, like when I'm going through painting this, and like I'm referencing my photo, like I'll reference like what I'm seeing, but at the same time, if I like what's on the canvas organically from the abstract work, I'll leave it. So I'm not married to the photo, so like if what's actually there already is more interesting, then I'll just leave it. So then I don't want to lose the energy that you first have when you're just kind of just abstractly going for
Interesting.
it. So I try to keep the energy high, I guess.
I assume, but you could tell me, and partially because of using the oils and the time that it takes for it to dry, does that contribute to working on multiple pieces?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, obviously the oil paint requires drying time. So yeah, once I go at it, like I have to let it sit for a few days before I can even touch it again. But like I'm saying, those few days I kind of look at it and like move it around and like see what I want to do with it. But yes, I work on like all of them at the same time, basically. Well, not all of them, but like, like I have a flow. They kind of cycle through that.
Okay, we'll take the camera and show them a little bit of the studio in a little bit. Are there any, aside from your mother, any inspirations that you generally like to credit that have contributed or influenced your practice and your work?
Well, I'm a huge Frida Kahlo fan. I know that sounds like kind of like I'm not doing portraits of myself, but she does a lot. She did a lot of still lifes, and she's like one of my favorite artists. And of course, I love Cezanne and Picasso and all the classic artists. I mean, they're famous for a reason, So
You grew up going to museums.
exactly. There we go. So, but yeah, so I just and then there's some other I like other some artists like Max Ernst and like some different what's the guy's name? I'm forgetting. Anyway, I
see a Basquiat book over there.
Yeah, a little Basquiat,
There you
of
go.
course. Yeah,
Okay.
I do. I like to kind of look at some inspiration before I get going. So
Okay.
I do have my books, a lot of art books. I'm gonna confess.
Interesting. I'd like to take the camera and show them a little bit of your studio, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit of your process.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your process and what you're working on in the studio here?
Okay, so usually when I start my paintings, I work completely abstractly. So when I first begin, I like to mix like different palettes. I'll do like a light palette and a dark palette, and I'll spend time mixing like 2 or 3 shades of each color, so that I have like like a variety to work with, basically. This palette I created here because I wanted to work on, this painting is kind of a little further along in the process. I've sort of matched the sort of abstract background to a reference picture, a photo that I have here of my children in the botanical garden. So basically I wanted to work on sort of the middle, like where all these different greens are. So I was trying to mix different colors of the brown and the green here. And I was coming in and trying to set up the structure of like the large tree kind of lying on its side, and different things happening in the middle part of this painting. So, and in a painting this large of a size, you kind of have to work in sections. And again, because it is oil paint, I have to allow it to dry. So if I just kind of keep going, sometimes less is more, and then so I'll let it dry and then come back to it, because if once you start to get paint all mixing together, it just kind of like turns into like, just all the same color. So that's not what I want. I want to maintain the color and the excitement in the brush strokes and everything. So
How big is this canvas?
this is like a 6 by 8, I believe.
Wow. Yeah, this is pretty big.
This is a pretty big size. I would eventually like to make much larger pieces,
Whoa.
but obviously, you can. Well, it's what we're working with right now. So, and I sort of have these other ones that I'm working on now. These ones, I'm all working. They're still in kind of the abstract phase. There's not. I haven't really kind of matched them with an image, and sometimes I just leave them abstract. Like if I end up liking just the abstractness of it, and then again, even if I do sort of use an image, a reference image, it's the subject is really always about the paint and the texture and the color. So, and then like, you know, for example, like this is one that's like, you know, finished over here, this little guy.
Oh,
so
wow.
like basically you can see the kind of abstract sort of background, and then I was like, then I just painted the little, you know, I sat and painted, had the little vase of flowers in front of me and just kind of painted it real quick. But like, you know, all of this happening in the background suddenly became way more exciting once I got the, you know, the little flowers in front of it there. So it just kind of all melded together, just like by itself kind of. I kind of just let them kind of talk to me. The more I say, the weirder that sounds, but I guess I just kind of bond with them over such a long period of time because,
Sure.
like I said, it takes months to make them. So
I really like that one.
oh, thank you. And so here's one that's similar to that. You know, like another little flower.
It's a nice little series there.
Yes. So, but yeah, I definitely, you know, reference things in my life and, you know, my friends, family, and places I go, and it all kind of creeps into the art.
I see that.
Yeah.
What do you like the most about having a studio outside your home?
Well, I love it. I love the campus here. If you get over the intimidation about how big it is, it's actually really fun. I love walking down the hallways and like seeing all the artwork that they have displayed, and it just like gets me in the mood. So like by the time I get in here, I'm like super excited and just like I'm trying to spend as much time as I can here. So it's been great. So thank you so much. For
Oh,
the
my
opportunity.
pleasure. Well, we invite the viewer, if you're listening to this, to join us anytime, but specifically next Thursday, January the 12th, 2023, for the grand reopening reception of our Zero Empty Spaces 25th location here at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus. We've got 25, oh, not 25. We've got like 17 artists here, artist studios, all different sizes, all different styles. The event will take place from 5 to 8 p.m. It's free to attend. We'll have drinks and refreshments, and hope you can join us. And if you ever want to come for a tour, there's generally multiple people here, multiple artists working here daily. So you can tour the space for yourself, meet Julia, meet some of the other artists. If they want to get in touch with you or follow you on social media and see more of your work on your website, where can they find you?
Yes, absolutely. On Instagram, my name is Lakeworth Artsy Mama. And on the Facebook, you can find me. It's Julia Longwell Fine Art. And our website is lopezlongwellpainting.com. And then I do have my own page. Once you're there, you can click on the Julia Longwell Fine Art page. You can see my paintings there.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. And we definitely appreciate you bringing some new life, color, and vibrancy to the space.
Thank you.
And we look forward to having you guys join us for the grand reopening reception. We have plenty of great things planned in 2023. So stay tuned for more. You can log on to zeroemptyspaces.com. Find us on all the social medias on the interwebs. And if you want to have a space with us, you feel free to find the application on the website. And don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Zero Empty Spaces podcast.
Bye.
Bye.